Hello, sweet soul. I wanted to come in here today and share a little bit about something that is so close to my heart, that is really exciting, and that is nutrition alchemy. So, first of all, this whole experience that I'm sharing right now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this program, what you can expect from this program, who it's for. But before we really get into that, I wanted to take a moment and just start with why I even put this course together. And that is because I spent so long trying to get my nutrition right for so many years. Back in 2010, I decided that I was going to become vegetarian, and that was the best decision I made. It was a very instantaneous, overnight decision that I made for myself. But what happened was, after a couple of years of just removing animal products from my diet, I ended up so sick. Like, sick to the point where I actually ended up in the hospital for 4 days. I had an IV attached to me. I was taking really heavy antibiotics, and I had an abscess on my tonsil that was the size of a golf ball. I couldn't swallow my own spit. I couldn't drink liquid. I hadn't eaten for like 5 days before getting to the hospital. It was absolute chaos in my body. And so while I was in the hospital, I remember on day 3, the dietitian came to me and said, "Okay, great. Like we're gonna start to give you some more, liquid purified foods. So how do you feel about beef stew and maybe something like orange jello, because you need to get your orange foods in every day. Oh, and we'll give you some milk as well for your calcium." And as I'm lying there, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not a dietitian, but this sounds like poison. Like, that does not sound healthy by any means necessary. And so I told this dietitian, no, first of all, I'm vegetarian. I don't want to eat any of those things. And she was just perplexed. She looked at me like I was crazy, and she said, "Well, I guess we can give you a pea stew. Jello's fine though, right?" And I was like, what? This is insane. Long story short, I never ate anything that they tried to give me in this hospital. And I actually ended up leaving a couple days later. And that was really the beginning of this new journey for me. I went from just trying not to eat animal products to actually eating consciously, to eating purposefully. And it was very shortly after I left the hospital that I found myself in school to become a nutritionist, a holistic nutritionist. And within the first week of being in school, I was so divinely reminded that this was exactly where I needed to be. We started to learn about gut health and the gut microbiome and the effect that that has when we have chronic illness, when we have food cravings, when we have excess weight on our body, irregular hormones, all of this. And I knew in that moment that this was going to be the thing I wanted to focus my life on. When I left that hospital, they tried to tell me that when I had healed, I would need to get my tonsils removed so that this wouldn't happen again. They told me to be on these heavy antibiotics for 10 days, but don't lie down for 30 minutes after taking them because you might burn your esophagus. Like, just really crazy things. So for me, it was so much more important to heal my body rather than trying to remove parts of my body in order to be well. You know what I mean? Anyways, now we are 2022 and I've never been sick like that again. I still have my tonsils. I have a really healthy gut microbiome, and so many other things have come from that. For instance, not having chronic illness every single year. I used to get strep throat at least twice a year, every year, which would be me on antibiotics for a week or two, and then trying to just recover from the antibiotics. I would get really chronic infections from taking those types of antibiotics in my body. I had acne all over my skin. I had eczema in the pockets of my elbows and my eyes. I had the worst periods, like just the worst, super heavy, really uncomfortable, a lot of PMS symptoms. And I was depressed. There were so many things that I had no idea was all related to the health of my gut. So what a blessing it was to find myself in this school, in this program where I started to learn about this. But the real magic happened when I actually experimented with it, when I started to play with it, when I started to look at food rather than something that I did, right? It was just like a habit. I would wake up, I would eat. I needed my 3 square meals a day. I needed to, eat the foods that I loved, or I would treat myself from time to time. And I was also in really, really bad patterns of just overeating, right? Eating to the point where I was so full that I would feel sick, that I would feel tired. I would never really give myself a chance to just feel good eating the food. So all of that to say, this was a big part of my dharma, right? They often say that your karma is your dharma, meaning that what it is that you struggle with in life is very often the purpose that is going to lead you down the path that you were meant to be on. In my case, this was very much true. So that really kickstarted this experience for the last 10 years at this point of me just learning to master what it means to be a plant-based person. And over the years, I have heard so many amazing stories, so many incredible stories, so many crazy stories from people around me. People saying, oh, I tried being vegetarian, but I couldn't give up cheese. Or, I was vegan for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, but I needed to start eating meat again because something wasn't right. I wasn't healthy, right? We hear all of these different stories. And especially in my field, I hear so many different ways that plant-based living didn't work for people. And that is because what I believe, they were in the same position I was in. They were dysregulated. They had an imbalanced gut microbiome, and they simply weren't feeding themselves purposely. They weren't eating the right foods for themselves. So what does it mean to actually nourish our bodies? I can tell you right away, what works for you may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for you. So this is why when we see meal plans and diets and programs out there and we jump on them and we try to do them and they don't work, we feel like we're this exception to the rule. We feel like somehow we're broken and we're the problem. But the truth is, if I were to put together a complete meal plan based on what I need for my body, for my activity level, for my constitution, and you were to go ahead and take that and try it on, there's a very good chance, there's a way higher chance it's not going to work for you, because you are a very different person with a different set of needs, with a different energetic system as well. And also you might have different goals and a different lifestyle. So this really brings me to the nuance in nutrition, right? My belief system has been and always will be that our digestive system is the cornerstone to our wellness. If we are not digesting properly in our physical body, absolutely we are not digesting properly in our relationships, our conversations, our emotions, how we digest information. It's all connected, and we digest the very same way no matter what we're referring to. However, when we really take time to focus on the most dense layer of our being, our physical being, what we call the Annamaya Kosha in yoga and Ayurveda, when we focus on the most dense layer of our being, it allows us to very naturally and seamlessly also improve how we digest in the more ethereal layers of our being, in our emotions, in our, sense of intuition, in our conversations, in our boundary settings, in every single aspect. So when we start with the body, when we start with improving our digestion in the body, it has this beautiful ripple effect. So then the question becomes, then how do I improve my digestion? Or maybe your question is, how do I know if my digestion is not very good? And I will start by saying, symptoms of any kind are your sign that your digestive system is not functioning. Anything from indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, gas, acid reflux, skin conditions of any kind, whether that's rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, acne, any kind of mood imbalances, whether we're feeling depressed, anxious, we're fluctuating between the two, feeling angry, feeling like we have a lot that we need to just, feeling like we're clinging and hoarding and have a hard time letting go. These are all symptoms. And when we can really recognize and honor each symptom as a sign that is trying to tell us to rebalance something internally, this is where the magic really happens. And this is where nutrition alchemy comes in. Nutrition alchemy is not just about how do I put the right foods into my body. Yes, that's a piece of it, but that's not the major piece, right? The major piece of nutrition alchemy is becoming the alchemist. It's recognizing that if I have a state of being that is not ideal, if my symptoms are present in any kind of way, this is a sign that I need to rebalance. I need to become the alchemist and transform this state of being into something more nourishing, more wholesome, and more well. And that is the power that each of us holds within us. It's not about taking another meal plan, taking another diet, taking more pills, powders, supplements, tonics, all of the things. That's such a small piece of it, right? So in my own experience, a big piece of my work has always been around emotional eating. And I know some people identify by that, some people really don't, but emotional eating, in essence, the way that I understand it, is when we eat unconsciously. We eat without purpose. We eat because most often we're feeling something uncomfortable. Maybe we had an uncomfortable conversation, there's an uncomfortable situation. Maybe I'm just dealing with something that's uncomfortable and I eat. And emotional eating doesn't just mean the foods that we're eating. That can mean doom scrolling, right? That can mean binge watching something on Netflix or wherever you watch things. It's consuming without purpose. And when we find ourselves in these positions, when we consume without purpose, we fall so out of alignment with our true nature, with our true essence, and with what is actually well for us. And when we learn to sit with symptom, right? Whether that's the overeating, binge eating, whether that's eating unconsciously, whether that's physical symptoms that we see and feel in our body, if our hormones are totally dysregulated, right? Ladies, if we're having totally irregular periods and you're not taking birth control or any kind of hormonal disruptants, right? Or even if you are taking them, oh my God, it is so important to double down on your nutrition, on nourishing yourself if you are taking birth control. If you're starting to notice that your skin just breaks out all the time and you feel like you have no control over it, if you're feeling like your digestive system is out of whack, these are all ways that we get to, not have to, but that we get to lean into being the alchemist, being the magician of our own experience and learning to become our own medicine people, our own healers. So this is nutrition alchemy in essence, right? Nutrition alchemy is not about teaching you how to cook, right? There's a very good chance you're here and you're listening to this or you're in my world because you're already taking control over your nutritional wellness. This course is really, I mean, maybe you are a total beginner, but more often than not, the people attracted to this type of offering are going to be those who have been doing the plant-based thing for a while. Maybe you've tried plant-based and it didn't quite work. Maybe you're ready to really step it up a notch and tune more deeply into the wisdom of your body. So I have an entire module on body wisdom and what it means to be in the moment with every experience, what it means to mitigate and transform symptoms that you're experiencing. So anytime that you're experiencing symptom in your body, how do we tune into the wisdom? How do we ask our body what that means, what it needs, and how do we reduce symptom through the behaviors, through the actions that we take after we become aware in the moment? This is an entire module within inside of this lesson. And not only with every module are you going to get lessons that you can listen to, repeat, rinse, repeat, take notes, do whatever you like to do. You're also going to have an aspect of community where we're going to meet up and you can jam on this with me, right? We're going to go even deeper into the embodied experience. Because more than anything, like, you can learn as much as you want to learn, right? You can go and Google for days, you can read all the books, but until you apply this stuff, it's just knowledge. But knowledge plus experience, now that is wisdom. And when we have body wisdom, we really don't need anything outside of ourselves. We don't need to jump on another diet. We don't need to follow specific meal plans because we know in each moment, my body is experiencing dysregulated hormones. That means that I need to lean into more adaptogens, more healthy fats, more of this, and also less of those things that bring me out of balance. The next really amazing aspect of this program that I cannot wait to share this piece is all about magic, right? Like, I have been on some level practicing like magic, witchcraft since I was a child. It was such a huge part of my childhood until I basically got made fun of and like just lost that huge part of myself. But it's funny how what we're attracted to as children really reflect who we actually be and what we're meant to step more into. So something that I've been working with, I had the opportunity to work with a shamanic healer back in 2021, I don't remember, I think it was 2021. And I learned so much from this person. And more than anything, it reminded me of the innate wisdom, the innate power that we all have. So a big piece of what I'm weaving into this, in order for you to become your own medicine person, is what it means to be a nutrition magician, right? Like, how do we step into using sigils and symbols and incantation when we're actually infusing food and we're ingesting those incantations, we're ingesting that magic? How do we make potions and tonics and elixirs that are going to heal us in any given moment? One of the most delicious ones that I've been making lately, right, is like a sleep tonic, a sleep potion. And it's when we put things like lavender and mugwort, which is really great for inner vision and evoking stronger dreams, right? If you're not someone who dreams a lot, this can be a really beautiful thing. Chamomile, of course, as well as lavender, are really soothing to the nervous system. And just leaning a little bit more deeply into the plant medicine magic, because this is where we have been so lost for so long. And especially as women, right? Like, there were so many years where it was not safe to practice plant medicine because it was thought that you were a witch and that you needed to be burned and that you were practicing dark magic. There's so much trauma attached to that. And so what I really see the medicine person or the witch or the shaman or the bruja or whatever term you prefer, what I see this person as is the steward of this planet, the one who understands how to look at what Earth provides us with and understand that she's providing us with the medicine we need. And never in history have we been so culturally, communally, globally dysregulated because we are so out of alignment with our planet and with what is needed for us. So a big piece of this program is going to be drawing back into the plant medicine and really connecting more deeply with Earth. So body wisdom, Earth wisdom, right? Becoming the nutrition alchemist, becoming the nutrition magician rather. And then I'm also going to be teaching you about the energetics of digestion. So something that has blown my mind, right, is this world of human design. And if you've been in my world for a minute, you've definitely heard me talking about this. And if not, then this is a really huge permission slip more than anything. For many years, when I had first become a nutritionist, I was really stuck in some dogmatic and like rigid ways of doing nutrition. Like, you know, you should always be sitting down in one spot when you're eating food. You should always be doing this. You should. And like now I really see that shoulds are just a giant red flag. But more than anything, when I started to understand human design, what fascinated me the most is that when we understand our energetic blueprint, there are actually really big cues in there on how we are meant to digest the world, whether we're meant to digest it more actively or more passively, whether we're meant to be leaning into one sense more than the others. And there is really no one size fits all approach to any of this. It's so unique to you and your specific energetics. So we are going to be diving into your energetics of digestion so that all of the rules you've ever heard about eating 3 square meals a day, about having a nice big breakfast because it's the most important meal of the day, about not eating right before you go to bed, about, you know, eating a variety of different foods when maybe you actually have a digestive system that requires more simplicity, right? We're going to dive into this so that you can really become the master, the alchemist of your nutrition. So this program is kicking off in the new year in 2023. It's going to be a live program. And right now, when you sign up, not only are you going to have access to our community, you're going to have access to all of the lessons and all of the live calls that we'll be hosting, and there will be many of them. You're also going to be getting a design reading with me, a human design reading. So if you've never had a human design reading before, this is going to be such a great way to kick off this experience so that you really understand your specific way of being. It's also going to help you to move through this program in alignment with who you be and how you move energetically in the world. If you have had a human design reading before and you're pretty familiar with your design, amazing. We're going to get to go even deeper into the intricacies of your blueprint, which is going to be so fun. Again, it really guides you in moving through this program with ease. So if you're here and you're listening, first of all, thank you. I see you. I appreciate you. And if this evokes any kind of like excitement for you, right? If you're on the path of nourishing yourself, maybe you're on the path of being plant-based, maybe you're not plant-based, but you want to understand plant medicine, body energetics, body wisdom more deeply, I invite you into this space. This course is going to absolutely change your life. And more than anything, what I really want to relay is that it doesn't have to take you 12 years to master this like it did for me. I'm really breaking down the most fundamental pieces so that I can support you in the quantum experience of moving forward in your nutrition. And I guarantee more of us need support with our nutrition than we're willing to admit. And this is just the truth, right? So I'd like to leave you with a closing thought, right, to really ponder on. And that is, why do you eat the way that you eat? Was that because it's what you learned from your family? Is it because it's just what you enjoy to eat? Do you eat with true purpose, meaning that in every moment of your being, you are nourishing yourself based on your in-the-moment needs? Why do you eat the way that you eat? And if you don't have an answer for that, then maybe this is your invitation to dive a little deeper into this. So, thank you for coming into this space. I appreciate you, your time, your energy. And if you have questions, you know how to reach me. My DMs are always open. You can, hit me up in the comment section below, or you can go ahead and click the link and sign up. And like I said, we start in the new year, and I would be so happy to see you there. Have a beautiful day.